Yes,
What?
I just submitted my native people assignment under late mixing with you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Where did you put it?
Uh,
Did you put it in late and missing again?
yeah. I tried drawing from your reference you gave me last time to my best of my ability.
I like thumbnails to be really small, right? And I like them to be gestural. But just by the way you've got it, I think your drawings are too small. I think you try to make them a little bigger, and it's hard for me to read what's going on with your line work because it's just so geometrical.
So make the drawings bigger and the thumbnail itself bigger.
Well, you're not getting any detail even in a thumbnail at 1.5 inches across, you can still get the horizon in there, and you can still figure out what your perspective grid looks like, and you can have a background and a midground and a foreground element, even in a really rough sketch. But yours are so flat and graphic, it's hard for me to tell what's going on. So see if you can get them bigger and put some perspective in there. You can draw your perspective grid with your shift key, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for giving that to me.
Okay. And the map is good, or I need to fix that?
Well, no, this does not look like a map. This is not a map. If you've got characters that have a head and a body and a feet, then this is not a map. If your beaver is over here and you can see the feet and the eyes, then it's not a map.
Okay.
So your map should be a camera that is way up in the sky. Way, way up in the sky. All right, Carmen. Please let me know if I read the story last week, okay?
I restarted it, so this is a different story.
Okay. Okay, is this your story?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good drawings, good characters. Okay. Thumbnails.
Yeah, I think I might have made them a little too small or simple.
Well, as long as you know what is going on shot by shot, I think it's a good way to do it. I think that you want to go in there now and make sure that you're okay with and I hate to use this term, but it's actually an accurate term. But I want you to make sure of your own sequencing. And the reason that I don't like using that term is because we use the term sequencing in animation for a sequence. If a film has a dance sequence, that's a sequence. If the opening exposition is a dance number, or, you know, a singing number or something, then that could be like the intro sequence, but it's actually correct to say, are your board panels sequenced correctly? And it's hard for me to read just because well, the drawings are good, but you know, I don't see the horizon, the perspective grid, the background, midground, foreground, because they are just a little too small. But as long as you know what you're doing, do you have this entire script down here?
Kind of like I definitely simplified it because I was running out of room. So
Okay.
I need more panels, I guess, but it's
Well,
kind
yeah.
of there.
Well, just remember a couple of things, and this goes for everybody, that let's just pick like this story panel right here on the bottom left,
Mhm.
that you can see that there's a dragon head in the panel right before it. And then there's some sort of action. It's kind of hard for me to tell as long as you know what it is.
Yeah.
And when we come up to this one, you can see that the dragon has either reversed its position or changed its direction and is now chasing. So you may want to make a note whether you need extra panel in here to show, especially like at this point,
Hmm.
to show what he's doing.
Okay.
So I think that would be fine. And I don't think that you need to like screw this up by cutting and editing. I think that you could put panel numbers on here, and then on a separate sheet of paper, make a note that like this was panel 1, 2, 3, 4, but you wanted panels 5 and 6 to be on a separate paper.
Hmm.
So this would be 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 are over here, you know, that kind of thing. I like this just because it sometimes going from the word to the visual is a big jump for people making a visual.
Yeah.
And so you're doing this with ease. I can tell that you did not spend an hour on each one of these thumbnails. So that's good. But you could go in there with a 2B mechanical pencil and just kind of figure out where you want your horizon, because that's really set your camera,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going, 'cause I
And
see
do you think the story's too long or?
probably. What do you've got? What do you've got? You got
There's just a lot that happens.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, no, you've got like 56 panels.
Uh-huh.
That's pushing it. What I would recommend, and this goes for everybody, that if you've got a longer story, because you liked the script, right? And
Mhm.
you liked the way it was coming out in terms of planning and development and story and actual sequencing, like we just talked about, and multiple panels per important shots. Then you get to a point like maybe halfway through it where you've just invested 3 or 4 hours of work and you're like, oh my God, you know, I've got to present this. Then just make a mark and say, stop right there, present what you have, and then just finish it later.
Okay.
I can trust that your line style is not going to change too much,
Mhm.
and just, you know, finish it later. That's what-
Okay, sounds good.
All right, can I see some fingers and hands for Carmen, please?
Thank you.
All right, and I'm sorry that I keep going in alphabetic order. I just don't want to skip over anybody. All right, Laura. Okay. All right, work on that line of action, Laura.
Okay.
It's a big deal, even for someone sitting in a wheelchair. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so when the idiot starts honking its horn, right?
Yeah.
You could have like a visual argument that starts between them.
Okay.
But because that person is now your crisis character, you don't want your protagonists to have to deal with them. You could have like a motorcycle cop appear.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's going on here? What are you screaming at the kids for? And I think that I mentioned things like that, especially in our story class here, because this is your world, right? You're creating this world. It's almost like you watch the news and you're just like, I can't watch news anymore. It's just terrible. You want to go take a big saw like Bugs Bunny did, and he cut Florida off the map and let Florida just go sinking into the Atlantic Ocean. And we could do that with Texas and Florida. Just like get Texas and Florida just go drifting off into the ocean. That's because that's your world, right? And so what do you want to really have happen to this guy who's honking the horn? Right now, social media, it's like filled with movies of people doing amazing things, terrible, amazing things to each other, because everybody's got a dash cam. And every stupid accident or every time some idiot brake checks a semi truck and completely totals his own car, it's like, it makes you furious, because then everybody's insurance rates go up. So, maybe have a motorcycle cop,
Okay.
and then the motorcycle cop is like an old lady or something, and then
Could be.
she beats up this little kid who's just honking at the good guys. Super silly. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, same thing, line of action.
Okay.
Line of action. So this is good to start bringing this out here. In your first couple of panels, I see a regular horizon, but then in panel 6, your horizon is way up off the top. And so I don't want you using what's called, the word just jumped out of my head. Isometric perspective. Isometric perspective looks like this. Hey, I didn't want that. So isometric perspective is where there's really no vanishing points. Everything is parallel.
Okay.
Richard Scarry used it almost exclusively
Oh, I see.
for I can't think of that, Lowly Worm and Huckle Cat. You know him, right? It might even show up here. Yeah, so in your board, you can kind of see that it's starting to look like isometric perspective.
Yeah.
So use just a regular perspective. And for whatever it's worth, there are tons of different kinds of perspectives. Game engines use like 16 different kinds of perspective, just because it's easier on the game engine. You can see some of those repeated here, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of different kinds of perspective. The most common one is isometric perspective. And if I say Richard Scarry, I think that's how you spell scary, then you should see it immediately, right?
Okay. I
That
see.
actually, this image that comes up here is got little isolated vignettes, but his other things like this, and these are all isometric perspective, because they're just not following a vanishing point. And it's for kids. Kids don't care. When I was reading these kids, when my kids were growing up, it's like there's no way I could explain to them what they were looking at. I would have ruined them worse than I already did ruin them. All right. So
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
consider that, because
Thank
that's a big deal, trying to use a vanishing point that is way up off the top, because what that literally means is that your camera is on the top of a telephone pole. It's a bird's eye view looking down.
Mhm.
And that's a very strong camera. I only use those cameras for introduction shots. And if you're trying to be intimate, if you're trying to expose your characters, then I wouldn't use that camera.
Okay.
Just use a normal 3.5 foot camera. All right, so your sketches look okay. Again, I think that they're a complete in between, the middle between what you should be drawing for gestures and for your final boards. And again, I think that I just don't want you investing a whole huge amount of time on every story panel to the point here where it's like, you could almost use these, they're big enough. If you added the perspective and background, foreground, and midground elements, you could almost use them. They're just a little too small.
Okay.
And this is good too. Remember that drawing these without borders is almost, it really is ideal, because then you can just take a regular storyboard, slide it underneath there, and figure out where the actual framing goes. All right, so yeah, my big thing here is that I see a lot of time invested in these. I think they're okay. Try to use these for your board next week.
Okay.
Just because you didn't do thumbnails.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Do like I said. So if you can see me in the monitor, sometimes this doesn't show up. But what I have is can you see the lines on this?
No.
Well, this is just a storyboard panel that has 4 storyboard panels on an 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper. And what you would do is you would slide this underneath your drawings and then just figure out where your border goes on the drawings that you already have. And I would print out one that has different sizes, because then you can compose your shot for different ratios.
Yeah, because I think, well, I want to express that it's different scenarios, because some of them is on the street, but then other ones is at the school.
That's fine. I can see that. I understand that.
Okay. So just it's most
Yeah, so
about the perspective,
I would say just make sure
the
you
line of action.
get your framing done correctly.
Okay.
Remember to do your shot numbers, your slug.
Okay, yeah, about the framing is because you mentioned before that we need to draw and don't worry about the specialist
Yep,
size of the
right.
thumbnails. But yes, I am working on perfectioning all of these
Okay.
things, and even the suggestion that you made me.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Some hands for Laura, please. Did you just write glitter? Alex?
Yeah,
Glitter?
I did.
Okay, and so
That's just
you're
update from last
studying the
week.
idea of the effects, okay? And doing some visual research. These are called inspiration boards. The Academy spends an enormous amount of time having their game and their animation students doing inspiration boards. And I think they're right. To me, this is my inspiration board. You know, it's like I just use Pinterest as my inspiration, or whatever parts of it. You know, I don't know if I've shown you this, but I do I'm thinking of like starting to do pop-up books. So I have like an inspiration board for those. And then I have another board for, this is mine. It has all my special things on it that, you know, I shouldn't even be showing this to you because it's my special one. There's storyboard. I'm Alebrije. I'm just totally engrossed with the idea of the Hoakan folk art. Some of it's just jaw-droppingly beautiful. It's really beautiful stuff. And there's other stuff in here too, but I can't stop. It's just really cool. And this one's the one you know. And I tell a story once in a while about this Phoenix board, because at one point I was just trying to figure out if what a really cool Phoenix tattoo might look like 5 years ago. And it still gives me Phoenixes, although I've never clicked on one in the last 5 years. I'm like, oh my God, it should. And then there's my effects board, which I use for my effects class. All right, so Alex, this is good. You're studying, okay. Okay. She wants to belong, human need, acceptance. Okay, this is good. She ends up worse. Okay, so what is the catalyst that makes it worse for her?
It ends up different in the story. If you go to the script, I mean, this is all, this all evolves, right?
Okay.
As you play with this character in the story. And I needed some things for the story, and that changed the character. And then the character decided something else for the ending, and that was really interesting. So this is a new script, or a revised script based on that.
She devours the children.
That's a wonderful word. Well, there's a lot of weak verbs in this, especially in Act 1.
Yeah.
Which actually, when you're filming this, you really have to make sure it's not boring. Well, then in Act 2, you got these strong verbs, and it will just make itself dramatic. You don't have to help it.
Right. Okay, so this is good. I like what you're thinking here. I like how you're bringing the images, the script into the image world.
I showed it to my son. He got the story. He laughed at the end. So I'm already a little reassured. But we'll see what do you do with it.
This is gruesome, Alex.
Good.
All right, so in panel 15, oh, I'm sorry, panel 22, now she sees that same lady again, and she's like, hey, look at my children. So in panel 23, she coughs them up.
I guess we can add an arrow to make sure that they're going in, not out.
Well, no, I'm just thinking that you might want to matryoshka them, chip, 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 chip.
No,
right?
no, she's just wait for it. Okay, she's eating them. Wait for it.
All right, so in panel 23, she's eating them back.
She's eating now the children of the other matryoshka. Her name's
Oh,
Lydia.
the other one. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then she's happy, and you can see that she has now all the 3 auras. That was your idea. I liked it.
Okay, so, and then she's saying to the other woman, no children? What's wrong with you? Okay, so that's good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is good. So you've taken this woman here, your lead lady, who does not have children, and that puts her off. We don't know in the exposition yet who the antagonist or the protagonist is. They're just characters. But she gets mad. In panel 9, she's mad, and she's not just foaming at the mouth, she's bleeding at the mouth. Be careful with the color red. And then you can see that she goes on a rampage and she eats a bunch of children. And now there's a happy birthday party. So, and at this panel 21 are the purple.
That's the 3. That's her 3 children that's the ones she ate.
Those are the ones she ate. So those are
the 2. Sorry, the 2 that she.
Now
ate.
she's gonna and now she's gonna eat the other ladies. And so and now she's got all of the babies inside her, right?
Right.
So that makes her the antagonist, right?
Yes.
That
Well,
firmly,
no, she is both the protagonist and she's the protagonist.
well, right. She has switched to being the protagonist. So when
No,
this
no, the lady Rosa is the protagonist. That doesn't change.
Right, well, we only discovered that here in panel 22 and panel 23.
Why is that? We
Well,
see
because we
her
didn't
in the
know-
we see her in the establishing shot going into the birthday party.
Well, I guess you could say that we know that she's the protagonist when in panels 10 and 11, she's eating random babies. Okay.
I
you
mean,
can-
you can also argue that she's the villain, but I'm not making a judgment here. I am just assigning.
I would just
focus, right?
rather call her a protagonist because the babies didn't die. Right? They're still alive.
You can call her anything you want.
Okay, so, but
judgment.
the point I'm trying to make is in panel
Okay.
26,
Yeah,
now you firmly established that she did something that this other character does not like.
yeah, because she's getting revenge.
So you're gonna have the revenge happen as a cliffhanger or off screen somewhere.
It's the punchline. That's it.
Is the punchline. Okay, so what are you going to do for next week?
I'm gonna turn this into a storyboard.
Okay,
And I'm gonna have to add a few more panels where, like when I was doing the timing,
okay,
I realized that some of the panels, I wanted like more than one time with it because more than one thing happens. And then I actually want to make an animatic because I realized that my feeling for the timing is not very good, even when I use a stopwatch.
and it's a hard thing to do here in the Zoom world.
So if I have time, I will actually try and make an animatic to go with it.
And what application, how are you gonna do that?
I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna try do it with Rough Animator, or I also have Krita, and Krita has ways of doing that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so my recommendation would be is just between panels 21 and 22, you might need a
Yeah,
couple extra panels to explain what's going on. A couple of close-ups.
yeah,
A couple
yeah.
of
For the
close-ups.
one thing I want to do is for the dialogue. I've been paying attention more in the movies, and really when people talk, they usually switch to headshots of whoever is talking quite quickly.
Yeah, okay, that's
So
good.
I was thinking I'm going to try that at least for one of the dialogues.
Okay. Is there a Russian word for baby that you could use?
I don't remember what it is. It's been a long time.
It's something I just thought about that. Okay, can I see some hands for Alex, please?
But I can look it up.
It's just the part of the creative process where you don't want to pass that up. Because if there's a really wonderful Russian word for it, then use it. Okay, thank you, Alex.
Russian is a beautiful language.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
But I've forgotten all of it.
All right, Chloe, we saw this last week, right?
It's not a good word.
It's not?
It's Getka, and it doesn't have the mouth feel.
Right.
So
Okay.
I will look for something else. Oh,
Yes.
here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to turn the mic off.
You know what would be really cool is if, I think it was almost 25 years ago where Dragon speech recognition software was being developed. And they were hitting the main marks. They were saying, oh, we've got an English speaker, we've got French, Spanish, and the computer was picking up the language, right? And it was printing it out, you could read it, and we're using it all over the place. Speech recognition is like ubiquitous everywhere now, but it could be really cool that even though Alex has his microphone turned off, that the Dragon speech recognition software was printing out the words he was saying underneath it. I told you to go to your room, you little. All right. Chloe, I'm sorry. We saw this script last week?
Yeah, I didn't change the script. I just started on the thumbnails. I didn't get very far because this is going to be quite long. So I'm only about 20 panels in.
Right.
But I added just some character notes that I made. And then think I added, yeah, I think there should be a page for like maps and stuff too, since there's a couple locations.
Okay, this reminds me of something that I'm working on right now. And my master teacher wants us to do like a little visual essay.
Mhm.
And I'm doing this thing where it's like you use a line of action to set a pose. Did I show you this already? The class?
Not that I remember.
All right, so this is just for my teacher and anyone who's not an animator, just to realize how many different ways there are to add a line of action. You can add a line of actions to a stick figure, or the right and wrong way to do it. And live action drawings have a line of action. It is there. Reversing the line of action is the best way to animate. It's the most powerful way to get action into your pose. And then I'm like, okay, now you're doing the line of action, make sure your silhouette is working too. And so my presentation next week is about line of action and silhouette. And then I bring the silhouette to the stage. I'm like, you should be able to tell who these characters are just by looking at them. Silhouette, right? Hey, Rocky, right? And then putting it all together, that finishes my presentation. So this just reminded me that you're working in silhouette and in line of action. So make sure that you're always doing that. As an animator, as an artist, you're always doing that. How do you push your pose?
Yeah, I'm trying, but it's not very strong. I have a hard time, I think, when it comes to line of action, when different parts of the body start stacking on top of each other. And like knowing where they're aligned. I don't have a lot of like, I've never taken a live drawing class, and so I have a hard time sometimes like learning from 2D pictures, because it's easier for me when I see something like 3D. So my figure drawing and like line of action needs a lot of work.
And I don't think that the little wooden figurines help very much.
No, I used to have one. It didn't really help me all that much.
I know for sure that there are a dozen companies out there that are making those little maquettes that are really, really articulated. Paul, the director of the animation department here at Kenyatta, I had turned him on to this ex-animator and his wife, who were going to make these little posable maquettes, and it was called Sticky Bones. And they had these iridium magnets in the hands and feet, so that the character could actually put his hand down and stay in pose with his hand on the metal plate, no matter where you put it. And it was a really cool idea. They were expensive at $75 a piece, but because it was a brand new Kickstarter thing, it was supposed to take 4 months. It took like 2 years. And I never got them for what I was going to do the research for my MFA, but those don't help either. Even the really articulated ones don't help either. I think that you just kind of have to squint your imagination. All right, sorry, I'm taking up your time. All right, about Emily. Okay, good.
This is from, I just wrote, I didn't want to print the entire PDF you sent to us, so I took the most important parts that I had like
Yeah, I
filled
told you
out and put
not
it
to.
on here.
You would have gotten in trouble if you did. I like that she dislikes anything soggy. And at this point, it's like if anyone is listening here, it's like you're saying, our hobbies are reading, playing with stuffed animals. But you can see that if you think about Sid from Toy Story, this is a direct connection to taking the bits out of that profile sheet and saying, well, he likes blowing up stuffed animals. And that's how they got Sid.
Yeah.
It was just a real simple character analysis. That's a big alarm clock.
I know.
Right.
I drew it fast and then was kind of like, I'm gonna move on from this and fix that later.
Just be careful with it. Well, everyone is just in the background here. What I think that I would like to do is have those people who are waiting for their critique. Oh, no, I forgot. It's called Sleeping Betty. So this comes to us from the National Film Board of Canada. And there is a gag in this, like you have never seen a gag before, about the alarm clock. So everyone who's waiting, and you too, Chloe, watch this little movie I just posted called Sleeping Betty. It has a alarm clock gag in it. All right, sits up. All right, so when she stretches like this, switch your camera to the side view so that you can show as much stretch as you need.
Okay.
Comma, please, comma, God damn it. Right?
Sorry about that.
Well, yeah, you're in trouble.
Oh no.
Now I'm going to start burying things in your front yard. So you switch
I
to the
thought I
side.
got a pass from that because I was sick last week.
So you switch to the side view because that's the most pronounced. You can see her line of action.
Mhm.
You know, the weight is still over her feet, but her hands can go really far this way. How far could you push that pose? You know, you're not going to be able to push it that far. That would be ridiculous. But you're not going to get this in the front view. You can never get that. I mean, yeah, she would be stretching like this, but the pose of just stretching and extreme stretching are not going to be that much different unless you switch to the side or 3/4 pose. Okay, so these are all fine. Be careful of your aspect ratio here. Just make sure you're always at least 16:9. Widen the shot out a little bit.
Yeah, sorry. My
No, don't you apologize to me.
I was using my little template, but it got a little bit, the larger one got a little bit distorted, so the aspect ratio.
Well, I mean, it's okay. It's okay right now, but remember that there isn't a really good thing, and I should make one and send it to you all. But the idea would be is that you use something like this is actually correct, where it's 16:9, and it's always good because if you're drawing, right, and you could just say, oh, was that the right size, and you get that size in your mind's eye, and then when you go back, it's like, okay, now you can see that these are a little short. This is a little short, which reminds me, what?
Mhm.
What?
Oh, I said I think next week I'm gonna do what you recommended and print out a template so I can put it underneath it.
Yeah, and give yourself different sizes.
Yeah.
Small, medium, big, big. And then remember that, and this is good too, everybody. I like the way that she's just putting her images. Oh, this one goes over here. That's fine. Because at any given point, she can make any one of these shots wider to do a camera move. Right, that's ideal. All right, so yeah, keep going, Chloe, Miss Chloe. I wanted to let everybody know. Oh, can I see some hands for Chloe? Yay!
Thank you.
So this is very interesting to me because my son got me to go to the theaters last weekend. I haven't been to the theaters since the Black Klansman with Adam Driver. That was clean, well over 2 years ago. And I think this movie is really great. I'm not quite convinced it's his best movie yet, but it's very entertaining. In this movie, you see what I just saw. He uses 1 to 1.37. This is a very weird ratio. In fact, it's cinematically, your film ratio used to be 1 to 4 to 3, which was 1 to 3.75, and it looks like this. And that's what every film in the world was shot at between 1890 something, all the way through 1950 something, 1960 something. And there were a few ratios that were a little different, because when this ratio was in the camera, they actually squeezed it a little bit so that they could put the optical soundtrack on the side of it. And so when you look at Wes Anderson's 1 to 3.7 as opposed to 1 to 3.75, they squeezed it just a little bit to put the soundtrack on there. This movie's crazy. He changes the aspect ratio every 16 shots. Every 16, and there's something different to look at in all these different shots. And he uses the whole 16:9 screen almost like it was a comic book. And because of that, it's very interesting. You should see the movie just for that reason. All right. That reminded me. Okay, so yeah, keep going, Chloe. When you do the next pass at this, give yourself a little contrast between the line. What is dark and what is light?
Okay.
Okay, could I see some hands for Chloe? Yay! All right, let's go to the next one. Magnus,
Hello.
how are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
Fine. And it's funny that you rendered your cursor. How did you render your cursor?
Oh, I took a screenshot of my.
You took a screenshot.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's impossible. How did you do that? All right, so did this change from last week?
Yeah, I took out the chasm shot because I thought it would make the boards too long.
Okay. Okay, so you just edited it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so, and you like this idea?
Mhm.
Okay, that works. Okay, yep, okay.
Those are my establishing.
Establishing shots, okay.
Yep.
And for everyone, I think it's fine if you go into Photoshop and you just take a grid from the internet and put it on in Photoshop. That's fine. You can do that. Why not? All right, so yeah, these are looking really great because of that. You know, all of a sudden you're getting a lot of really great perspective there.
Yeah, I tried to do them quicker than usual. So
And I think that the line quality is okay. Your lines are starting to work. So keep doing that. Draw faster. You just want to draw faster. All right, so this interchange here is working pretty good. You can see that he's not going to shake his hand and that pisses him off. So they start the race. This is good. Yeah, this is good, Magnus. This is really good. If you're going to do this, make sure it's red, red, orange, green, green.
yeah, I'm
Make
not
sure-
really sure what the what it's supposed to be, but I suppose I could.
I think
yeah.
it's oh, it might be the other way too.
Mm.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Orange, 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 green, red. And that would make sense because that would be a default, right? So yeah, use this one.
Okay.
And it looks like 3 amber, green, and a red is default. Somebody jumped the light.
Oh.
So borrow that. 3 orange, a green, and a red. And this
Okay.
one has the pre-stage yellow, yellow, orange, orange, orange. You could do that one if you wanted to. Yeah, and the red is if you default. All right, so this is looking pretty good. What are you gonna do for next week?
I'm gonna turn them into boards pretty much.
Okay.
So yeah, I cut off the story at around the 41st panel because it was going to get pretty long from then.
All right, so it is technically a cliffhanger, but for you, don't call it that.
Okay.
What you want to do is just say to be continued shortly. Like I said, if this story could go on for 5 minutes and you'd have hundreds of story panels, but for me, I want you to present something for next week. So finish it on your own time.
Okay.
And this is looking good. Your approach to putting the shots together is definitely working. This is textbook, how to take the drawings, which were really rough and still and static and straight up and down. And by now, here we are in week 11. What week are we in? Oh, we're in week 13. This is starting to look like you were listening to me. And even Alex is happy about that, right? And,
Yeah.
and it's working too. You've got to be happy with this, right?
Yeah, I am.
This approach totally works. And again, I think that for everyone else who's looking at this, it's like you can tell that Magnus has taken one perspective grid and copy and pasted it. That's fine. You can do that. Why not? It saves you time and it's there and you're using it. And if you need a new one for this shot, go grab it from the internet. It's totally working. You know, you're totally getting there. The only thing that I would want you to work on when you're translating it to boards is just make a note for yourself. And I'm going to do this in green, that you want atmospheric perspective. So anything that's up in front of the camera should be a little darker. So these lines right here on the road should be darker. These mountain ranges, whatever these are, they should be darker. And then let the ones that go off into the distance be lighter. So that if this line here is in front, it should be darker than this one in the back. This line right here, the one that's in front, should be darker. Now, if these are cables, then make sure that these two cables here are not parallel. Just always make sure that they're tied onto something and give them different directions, because you don't want to make it look like they're part of the roadway. They should be the thinnest lines on the thing, on the drawing. Okay, so that's looking good.
Thanks.
Even Alex was happy right there. You made Alex happy. All right, Riley. Remember that you should have your script and maps in each presentation, just so that we can review them quickly.
Including last week's?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it. I'm not going to mark you off for not doing it, but it helps in any presentation.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Right. All right, so I don't think that I'm at the point yet where I'm going to go as manic on clouds as I am about trees, but you're in trouble for your trees. You've got to draw trees like some kind of real tree. It's my thing. If you're my student, you have to draw a real tree. You cannot draw broccoli for me. You're going to have to draw a real tree with the correct proportions. And remember, there's tons of different kinds of trees. You know, there's maple trees, there's trees of all different shapes and sizes, but you just manage to draw the two that I despise the most. So don't do that. Don't do that. How are you drawing this? Do you have a stylus?
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get a little bit more sketch quality of a line.
Okay.
Because it is a thing, you've heard me say it before, that one thing you do not want to do is try to draw a final line as you're drawing your initial sketches. It's a shortcut approach that very rarely works. But because you're drawing with your stylus, you're forcing yourself to draw a final line as you're sketching it. So figure out a way to sketch. Here's an example. Let me see if I can. Oh, I don't know what this is. This is fine. So in this rough animator application, there's a, oops, hold on. Yeah, there's a quality of the line where you can draw really lightly. See what I'm doing? Or you can push your pen really hard and get a darker line. So when you're sketching, you can just like head, line of action, you know, this character's bending over. So you can kind of think with your sketch. And then as soon as you're happy with it, you can lay on that line a little heavier. And people love Photoshop because you can get this kind of line in Photoshop. One of the things that's really hard is that trying to get this quality of a line in Toon Boom, it's a little bit more difficult because Toon Boom is vector. So when you're trying, do you know what I mean by that?
Oh, yeah.
So this is pixels. You're just drawing raster images. But if you were trying to do this in Toon Boom, what Toon Boom is going to draw is going to give you vectors. It's giving you math. So in Toon Boom, I have my artist switch to a brush. But the pencil work in this rough animator actually works really, really well. Again, I've just picked a white color on a black background, but I can draw very lightly. It's a very, very good response to the Wacom tablet. Very, very good response. So try to find your line like that rather than trying to find a final line. It's not working for you. All right, so what's going on here? Is this a floating ship?
Yeah, that's a floating airship. And those little guys are there. They're like statics. They're like little minions, monsters.
Are these two guys on the ship here?
Yeah, they're inside the ship.
So so this shot is inside the ship?
Yes.
All right, so in your drawings, you need to show somehow that we're in the ship and that we're not on the Earth. You need to add lines that describe the inside shape of the boat. So I don't know technically what your boat looks like. You know, what kind of boat is it supposed to be?
Probably like think of like maybe the inside is like full of gears and mechanics and stuff like that.
No, I mean, is it like a shipping container or is it supposed to be a pirate ship?
It's sort of like it's like kind of like a battleship, like in the air.
A battleship.
Yeah.
So, you know, battleships have this kind of shape to begin with, right? And then you're going to cut it, and then battleships have the main galley here, and then battleships have tons of guns on them. And even just drawing this little sketch right here, you can see that it's looking more like a battleship than this. And remember that this zoom is not the best tool for drawing, but I think that you want to show that it has the turrets, it has the radio communications, the infrared communications, it has guns everywhere. So there's a difference between this and this. And so if you're on the deck of the battleship, I would recommend showing us where they are. So, sorry, it's hard drawing this line right here. All right, so maybe they're right next to one of the turrets. There's another turret over here. So get that in there so that it's part of your environment, so that the audience doesn't think that they're just on the ground.
Okay.
All right, so does this foot, the foot drops, okay. All right, so these guys are statics. What do you mean by statics?
Well, basically, they're like I imagine like like a little doll, like imagine a little doll. They're like these huge TVs on the heads, and they're all staticky, hence the name statics.
All right, so it's like a game, right?
Yeah, you can think of that.
Okay, so they explode. If you need to, just jump over to the electric internet and just get an idea. 2D animation explosion. You know, it's still on images, right? And so you can see that there's a bunch of things here. How do you want this to look? Right? There's a whole bunch of different explosions. And as soon as you click one that you like, it's going to cross-reference a whole bunch of stuff. So this kind of drawing here, ooh, it's a GIF too. You see that?
Yeah.
So that kind of drawing and the lines that go along with it are very different than what you have here. Because this looks like clay splattering. And you want this as opposed to clay spattering.
Okay.
So don't even draw this. You just have a note, the static explodes. So go and do some research about what the static explosion might look like. And it just so happens that these are all GIFs, which are crazy good, right? So I'm going to put that link in the chat so you can just go right to it. All right, so and work on your drawing, especially the presentation of each board. Like I said, I don't want you just coloring in the boxes. You should have a perspective grid on every shot, but this doesn't look like a grid. It looks more like a screen. So and that's because these lines are parallel and these lines are parallel. So it's looking more like a screen. So use the regular perspective lines. And you should always worry about the sketch quality as opposed to just filling in the box. I would rather you set your shot, set your back, set your horizon, set your perspective, get your characters drawn in there. It'll look better. Your characters are starting to come along, but for the board, give yourself that perspective.
Okay.
All right, so continuing with the story. Springs up. Okay, so there's a big transition here between 37 and 38. So this is the same airship that you have for panel 2.
Yeah,
So,
but if you see right above below there, there's like a cannon like descending from below the ship.
okay, okay. And so now in panel 38, this is the ground plane.
Yeah.
So what is these? What are these lines right here?
That's the cannon, like the outline.
Oh, just be careful with this. We don't know what this is. This could be a sun, or this could be anything. Make sure that you pull your camera back further so we know what these lines are.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so my general note is to put in your perspective grid properly. This one's working here, so do that properly for every shot. If you're going to have an explosion, don't draw this. It doesn't look like an explosion. Just go to your electric internet and figure out what explosions look like. And in a bunch of cases, you're going to need to put your camera in slightly different place. You know, it's good that you drew these quickly, but I do not like trying to find the final line as you're drawing. I prefer a sketch style.
I think it's like the stylus that caused the problem. I don't know. I need to research on the Photoshop.
What application are you drawing in?
Photoshop?
It could be your stylus. Usually Photoshop gives you a pretty good line. What kind of stylus do you have?
I think it's like called Versus Pencil. I mean, I used back like way back when I was in the, I think it was like digital animation a while back.
Well, some are better than others. Some are not as responsive.
Okay.
All right, so let me finish your story here. All right, so again, this just looks like mud splattering. So if you need that airship to explode and you've got a lot of explosions happening, you need to figure out how you want things to explode. So this is a good start. if you need to, so this is for everyone. If anyone needs the, you can look at my effects board. And over the last 8 years, I put just tons of different stuff in here that's good to look at in terms of all kinds of different 2D effects. And it's game oriented for the most part. There's lots of good stuff in here. And if you look at my YouTube channel, you see me doing demos for that effects class for the Academy. And you could accidentally become a effects animator. All right. So Chad, try to draw with more of a sketchy line. And,
Okay.
and remember that even in a shot like this, if you say the pig animal villager points at something, you need to draw this with a good silhouette. And so just without any other prompt, you should think to yourself, what do I need? You have your pig character, you have a certain size head, he's looking up maybe, so you have his body, he's got one foot here, he's got the other foot over here, this hand is dangling, he's pointing up, look everyone, right? So, and then he's a pig, so give him his little piggy ears, his little piggy nose. Every part of it should have a good silhouette. So you're drawing in the front view, it's really hard to pull this off, but his hand should be over here. Look, everyone. So everything should have a good silhouette. Okay, you got it? So this reads a much better than this pose. And then if you only need part of it, you can say, oh, you know what? I need to get the hand in there. So then that shot is technically going to need to be somewhere around this big. It's going to need to be a mid shot or whatever. Maybe because you like the way the whole pose is drawn, that you're going to do a crash zoom on him. And I want you thinking that way too. You start out with your horizon, your perspective grid, other pigs that are in the background, they're standing around. There's houses or whatever. You can dress up your shot. You know, oh, look, there's a tree, everybody. You know, and it's true that the baobab tree has this like crazy shape to it, right? But don't be drawing me baobab trees because we're in the Western Hemisphere.
Okay.
So see what I mean? You could even go to an extreme close-up as long as you set the shot correctly. All right, do you want to do a screen a photo of that, screen grab of that?
Sure. Got it.
Got it? Okay. All right, and then let's see. All right, so you just had the main ship exploding. So the villagers are saddened that the ship explodes?
No, they're saddened because like Foxy didn't like make it out. I mean, they thought that
I see. But then he did.
and he lives.
So what is this thing that he's supposed to be doing here? He's
Using his cape like from his tail because that's
using his, okay, so I don't know how your character is designed, but once again, you need to draw in the 3/4 head, and his line of action is this way. Give him his 3-dimensional quality to his head and body. Get his feet. And then his arms are going to be this way. And his tail is going to be overreaching. So draw one side of his tail and then the other side of his tail. And then, is he a fox? He's a fox. So you can do the little thing here. So it looks like a fox tail. And then this is one hand is grabbing. This is the other hand grabbing. So look at just how this has a good silhouette to it, that you can read that the character is falling, that it's a fox, that this is a giant fox tail, right? You see that?
I see it.
So, and then this foot right here doesn't have its own silhouette right here. So I would go back in and say, I'm going to erase that and just fix it so that this foot is dangling a little more, and then this foot, the away foot, is like that. And then let the tail have its own thing. So everything has its own good silhouette. You could even draw a little tip of the tail that's curled up because he's grabbing it. So this looks much different than this.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
And remember, I'm just looking at head, line of action, body, rhythm, silhouette. That's all I'm doing. And you should be doing the same thing. And then I think that these don't look like villagers cheering. You know what I mean? So if you want to take a screenshot of this,
Yeah.
Fox, let me know.
I really need to work more on this before the like the third like final.
Okay. You got the shot?
I got the shot.
Okay, so you have a thing here that says villagers cheering. So once again, you come back over here and you just go, all right, villagers cheering. Set it to images. And what does it look like? You know, so here's a cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Arms in the air, close up, arms in the air. What are you seeing? You might want to switch it to cartoon, right? You get that one again. So this is from her Sleeping Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
There's not a really, so you want to keep looking. You know, this guy's cheering. These girls are cheering. You know, what happens if you do this? This is not cheering.
Oh, that's the opposite.
So I think the idea is arms in the air. And what do you want? This is what you want.
Oh yeah, yeah, like that.
Do your research. Don't draw this. I don't know what this looks like.
I'm trying to make I'm trying to make like animal hands, like, but I don't think.
Well, no, don't do that. Draw this first. And then if this reads as a goat or a cow or a fox or something, then the hand will read because it's associated with it. All right.
Okay.
So you got this?
I got it.
Okay. All right, where was I? I'm here. All right, could I see some hands for Riley, please? Yay!
I won't give up.
Keep sketching. Don't try to draw the final line as you're drawing. It'll get you into trouble every time.
Got it.
All right, Paula. All right, we saw this last week. This is good. Okay. All right, Paula, did you add anything different to this?
Yeah,
This week?
more. I'm still working on it.
Okay. Well, I like the quality of your boards for panels 2, 3, and 4.
Mhm.
So I would just try to look for that kind of aesthetic in all your other board panels.
Okay.
And you still have more to draw, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my suggestion would be to draw like you're putting your shots together like 2, 3, and 4. If that's working for you. And even in 4, you could have a perspective grid in there so that you can use it if you need to draw other plants or other empty pots that are on the countertop or the cabinet behind her.
Okay.
Just to let us know where she is in 3D space.
Okay.
Keep going. It's going to be good. Keep going.
Thank
Got
you.
it? Yay! All right. Tristan.
You might want to refresh it.
Okay.
I haven't finished the thumbnails. I've been stressed out this week with other stuff.
Did I
But-
read this last week?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I think you're gonna be okay here. I think make sure you're varying your camera, but once again, work on developing a good sketch style. And it's not too late. You can just go into a shot like this and say, what's going on? I've got a panel, I've got a horizon, you've got a grid on the ground. Sorry, I'm drawing slappy lines. You've got a grid in the sky. No matter where you are, whether it's interior or exterior. And then you can use a little color. What are you doing here? You're drawing a room. So I would say that forget about these lines here first and just say, okay, my room is here. And I've got a corner of the room, and the perspective on this room is going to be like this. It's behaving to the vanishing point, which is here. And even though you might be close up on something that's on the wall or a door in your character, that would be fine. It doesn't matter, because then you set up the door and you make sure it's got the proportion of a door, it's got the window, it's got the door knob, which you're missing. Then you can break the window. And then there's something on the wall. Maybe there's something here. Maybe there's a potted plant, right?
Okay.
Something to dress up the room. I don't know, maybe there's a table over here. And you don't need to go crazy. Maybe there's a desk or something, but follow the vanishing point. You're not going to see this. And then you could say, where's your character? Your character's here. Head, line of action, standing, reaching for the door, whatever he's doing. And then once you've got that drawn out, then you can say, this is what my shot looks like. And it doesn't take any time to do this. So when you're drawing thumbs, I would prefer this to just trying to fill in the lines in your storyboard panel. And be careful, I'm not sure that this is the correct 16:9 ratio. If I go back here and I try to find this and just get this in, oh, sorry. If I do this, I study this ratio, then I go back here, it's like it's looking a little narrow. See how it's a little wider right here? All of these, not this one. But the
I'm starting to see them.
The ones that are reading as 16:9. This is 16:9. When you go to here, you're looking a little narrow. So not only are you trying to fill in the lines in your story panel like it was a coloring book, but they're wrong. You need to be using 16:9. All right, and then you're still working, right?
Yes, I'm still working.
All right, so take those suggestions and go, go, go.
All right.
All right, so hands from Tristan, please. Yay! All right, and did anyone else post?
Oh yeah, I did. It's just my character is expression, not full on.
Okay, right, I understand. Well, this is really good. I can see that you have the same drawing, copy and pasted, and then you're just changing the expression a little bit. How long did it take you to draw this original pose?
Maybe like an hour or less.
Yeah, it's a little long. That means it's going to take you a long time to do your boards. So I think this is good. This has a nice look to it for sure. But you're going to need to find a way to draw much quicker.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Let's take a
I
break,
also
everybody.
posted.
What's that?
I also posted.
Oh, you did, okay.
Thank you, Billy.
Okay, you're welcome, Philip. All right, Randy. Okay. You got your map, characters. If I could make a suggestion, please, that
Yeah, go
when
ahead.
you are drawing your characters, keep them in perspective, head, line of action. Draw this upper body here so that it's in that it's in perspective to a vanishing point. So don't draw this shoulder up here like that. It looks weird. Draw the near shoulder up. And then you're going to have more room for negative space here. It's going to be a better drawing. Head, line of action. Use your vanishing points. This one's close, but you've killed his near shoulder. Head, line of action. Draw this bean shape. Get the upper part working. And so this shoulder here, the arm is going to be out and down. Let me see the silhouette better so I can see the silhouette of his left side here a little better. Make sure that he's balanced. Right? Got that?
Yeah.
Got it? Okay. All right, you're starting your thumbnails. Okay, careful, you've got 3 different ratios working here. So like I recommended to Chloe, and you saw that what Chloe's doing, instead of putting the frame on it, just draw. Okay, just draw and worry about the frame at the end. Frame it at the end. Your drawings are starting to get there. Draw your whole story out in thumbs and then frame it at the end. Okay, are these supposed to be wings here?
Yeah, wings and a jetpack.
All right, so does this cape become the wings?
No, I forgot to add the word antagonist to the guy that's in red because
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, you have protagonist and then a blue line pointing towards him.
Oh no, that was an accident. Like
Well, now you're in trouble with yourself. Okay. So, and remember too that we're going to do this. We're going to just say Donald Duck perspective drawing, and I'm not messing around. Every single drawing that you ever draw really needs to be in perspective. So Donald Duck, every single one of those lines is in perspective. See it?
yeah.
All right, I'm going to put that in the chat too. That's big. That's a big link. All right. Yeah, I would recommend just drawing your thumbnails. Just draw without the frame, and then use the regular 16:9 panel. I went past it to do your actual framing, because you got final boards are due next week. All right, anybody else? All right, let's take a break. 15-minute break. Except for Alex, he gets a 16-minute break. We just wanted to see if he was there. Okay.